Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between Fnatic's TT1 and Meet Your Maker's XLord. This game taking place on Metalopolis. TT1 spawning as the green Protoss player, meanwhile XLord switching over to his pink Zerg this time around, and we'll see if XLord will be able to play a little bit better. XLord not knowing the MLG, having to ask if it's possible to have a close spawn. TT1 saying no, it is in fact not possible to have a close spawn here. So the Overlord has a 50-50 shot of trying to figure out where his opponent is. Overlord, however, not going the standard route this time around. Instead of coming into this location here, gonna fly straight into the vents here and perhaps be able to keep track and look at a mineral field. Now, one of the things that the Overlord can do, the Overlord, since it is a flying unit, can actually see over these vents, and that is really, really helpful. What he's trying to do is he's not trying to actually see the Nexus or even a probe. What he's really trying to do is he's trying to gain sight on the animation of a mineral patch. He wants to click on a mineral patch and see that it is glowing, and you can see that actually XLord came over, saw that the mineral patch was glowing, and then backed off. He didn't actually see any units, nothing on the minimap, just the mineral patch itself, and that is what you call mineral scouting, and nicely done there. Meanwhile, TT1 getting a little bit confused and not knowing, coming down over here, but he will quickly be able to see that his opponent has in fact spawned over here. Early spawning pool currently coming into play as a probe now going to walk up that ramp and try to gain some scouting information. So the probe now coming up, gonna take a look around, find that spawning pool, and now knows that there's not going to be an early hatchery, but perhaps some earlier pressure. We'll see whether or not XLord is going for roaches or zerglings. The timing on the extractor could just be a late extractor, or it could actually be a straight transition into roaches. Only time will tell. As TT1 now getting up that gateway, should be getting up at Cybernetics core, and a pretty standard build by TT1. Now TT1 has options as well here on Metalopolis. Close air spawns does definitely benefit strong airplay here on Metalopolis, so we may be going into a Stargate after a Cybernetics core. That is a very viable option. Stargate able to train up those Void Rays dealing a lot of damage towards those Overlords and other units as well. You can see an Overlord sitting here. TT1 does have a proxy pylon down here as well that was quickly canceled, trying to deny the hatchery that never really came in, and now just hiding off over here. We can see that there's 300 minerals currently sitting in the bank by XLord, and that is a little bit of a mistake there. He will finally get up this hatchery, but the hatchery was delayed by about 15 to 20 seconds. Hopefully that little bit of a timing mistake does not, come back to bite XLord. I always say that StarCraft is a game of seconds. What you're trying to do is you're trying to just get a very, very small advantage, and using that small advantage, getting an even smaller advantage, and letting those advantages just build up over time, trying to snowball into an effect. If you try to, delay your economy in order to get a stronger tech up, and you are trying to use that advantage and then deny your opponent's economy. But anyways, getting back to this particular game, XLord is training up a queen. This hatchery is about to be done, only needs about another 30 seconds or so. A queen now coming down over here, just waiting for the hatchery to be completed, and then we'll try to spawn some additional larvae. We are seeing some sentries now being trained up by TT1, a pretty standard play by Protoss players. It looks like he is going to be continuing to go that sentry play that has become so common by Protoss players against Zerg in recent months, or in recent weeks. Really, what you're going to see is a lot of sentries being trained up off of one base, as the sentries just hang around, sit back, relax, and they're going to get a lot of energy. And by getting up a lot of energy, and by the time that they do a push out, the 4 or the 6 of those sentries will have maximum energy, and maximum energy on a sentry means so many force fields, 4 force fields. And a lot of people have been trying to come up with theories on how to really slow down sentries and how effective that they really are. Adding a cooldown even to force field would not be a good idea at all, as that would actually make sentries almost a little bit more powerful. The reason why is if there's like a 5-second cooldown, what happens is that 4 sentries, when it tries to cast a force field, it switches from sentry to sentry, and by switching from sentry to sentry, you actually split up the energy used, and then and then more sentries can continue to regenerate more and more energy. So I'm not quite sure how I would say sentries need to be fixed, or even if they need to be fixed, perhaps Zerg just needs a massive unit a little bit earlier in the game as opposed to tier 3. Tier 3 for Zerg does seem a little bit longer than trying to get, say, Colossus or Thors from Terran and Protoss. Anyways, a queen now most likely will be setting up a creep tumor in just a moment. That creep tumor going to allow the faster spreading of creep, obviously. And then perhaps we'll be able to start establishing a creep highway into his opponent's space. You can see currently running off of, or getting off of 4 gateways. So it is going to be 4 gateways plus perhaps a robotics facility at some point. That is what I assume will be happening. The observers are just so important in being able to deny creep, gain sight, and also train up Immortals and or transition into Colossus if necessary. The sentries are just simply hanging back over here. Photon cannons in the ready to try to defend against any sort of early aggression as well. So TT1 is in a very fortified position. Should not have to really worry about what his opponent can do at this stage. Mutalisk will have a very difficult time even trying to press in, as there was a delay in the tech just because he is running off of multiple bases. We are finally going into tier 2. Baneling's Nest now coming into play, as well as the spine crawlers are now trying to root even further. So we are going to have 2 spine crawlers here, and those spine crawlers with a range of 7 able to get off a lot of damage relatively quickly. No spine crawler rush at all from what I can see. Now, warp gates and probe now just making their way out. It looks like the probe will be perhaps trying to set up a proxy pylon over here. No, just trying to see if the hatchery is coming down. XLord is trying to expand onto that high ground there at the 5 o'clock location. It will get spouted by that 1 probe. Node, I spoke too soon, as 3 Zerglings able to intercept it in time. 2 Zerglings now activating each of the Zanaga watchtowers. And even though XLord has map control and knows much going on, it knows what's going on the map right now, TT1 really has a stronger army. His income is significantly stronger as well, or was significantly stronger throughout the majority of the match. You can now see that it's finally starting to even up, as we are now getting 9 sentries. We're sitting on 9 sentries with almost maximum energy, 36 force fields. And now Observer is being trained up as well. So the Stalker and Zealot trying to push out level 2 weapons upgrade. So the Twilight Council was also warped in as well. So level 2 weapons upgrade. And that really means the sentries will essentially be dealing 33% more damage, or almost, 33% more damage. The Zealots also dealing 25% more damage, and the Stalkers only dealing, 15% more damage. Poor Stalkers and their upgrades. Stalkers will be moving out in just a moment, as an Overlord now, an Overlord with Pneumatized Carapace trying to come in, sees a lot of what's going on already. I do not believe we do not have the Ventral Sacs at all, as that Overlord now trying to skirt around. It looks like it will be able to get away rather quickly. The Overlord does move fairly fast, a movement speed of 1.88, but it is a flying unit, and so because it doesn't have to worry about pathing and walking around buildings, it does seem significantly faster. Stalker is now sitting up on that high ground. We'll just simply blink and wait for that blink to finish off there. He did do a chrono boost onto that blink, and now you can see these 5 Stalkers. Come on, wait for it. Okay. Watch Stalker never blinks, apparently. Anyway, Stalker's now coming down over here, just cleaning up the rest of these creep tumors now, and just trying to get as much, just clear out as much creep as possible. And now gonna do a little bit of engagement. We do see the same Baneling tactic that we saw in the last game. So a Baneling bombing run may be coming in. The sentries are over here. In come the force field. The Banelings are unable to find their target. 2 spine crawlers are pretty much going to get destroyed without any effort at all. And now the Zerglings are trying to come in. Overlords are in position. The Zerglings, the Banelings, sentries getting destroyed, but a nice blink pulling back. The sentries all got destroyed there, and now the Zerglings are going to try to run over and take down more and more of the rest of the Stalkers, but blinking up onto the high ground, and nicely done once again. So TT1 using the blink very effectively. 2 more Stalkers blinking up onto the high ground, and this is like shooting fish in a barrel, as those Zerglings are not really able to engage. 2 Stalkers, however, getting a little bit caught out of position there. Zerglings now trying to engage multiple Banelings, focusing down on the 1 Stalker. Not a good trade at all. TT1 is not microing these Stalkers all too well, but he is keeping up with his macro. And TT1 with some brilliant uses of Blink, I believe, is going to be able to take this game. Queens are getting taken down. Production buildings getting taken down. I guess a queen is kind of a production unit, I guess. As the observer just hanging around over here, stalkers hanging off in this position, making sure that Zerglings are not going to be able to surround. Banelings now trying to pull their way through. It looks like more stalkers are going to get destroyed, but those stalkers are just able to absorb a lot more damage. The stalkers continuing to push in, getting a lot of drone kills so far. More units are going to be coming in. The Banelings are finally able to push their way through. Zerglings trying to get a decent surround here, but the stalkers are blinking around. And even though this is only 9 stalkers inside the base, it is a lot of damage with that level 2 weapons upgrade. Zerglings are also level 2 as well, and you can see, oh, nicely done once again, blinking back into the backside here, hiding away by that Baneling's nest, using his own buildings against him, and just some brilliant blinking between the high ground and the low ground here. So these 7 stalkers getting a lot of usage so far in this matchup. TT1 just perhaps going to blink these stalkers one at a time, and just brilliantly done. And these 8 stalkers finding a home behind these buildings here. Force fields now being laid down, as well as all of the Zerglings unable to really do anything at all. Sentries adding insult to injury. Sentries dealing 8 damage per attack. It looks like that Baneling's Nest will be getting in some Broodlings out in just a moment. Broodling's trying to get in some damage as well, but that is not working out all too well. Another Broodling making their way out there. Queens are suffering a lot of damage here. We can still see that a lot of bases still running here, so XLord is not completely on life support just quite yet, but those force fields are just so beautiful. And now these force fields, you got to remember, they are not the early sentries that I was talking about. Another force field coming in. Banelings will finally be able to finish off this army there. But another round of zealots, and now a force field on the ramp once again, preventing any of those Zerglings from coming back down. It looks like TT1 does have enough energy for another force field. It looks like it will be coming in there, waiting almost a perfect timing in order to make sure that those one force field goes down right as the other goes up, only a difference of about 2 seconds. The stalkers perhaps should be sitting over here once again, as more Banelings will be morphing in just a moment. Infestor now trying to make its way out and quickly getting destroyed. I do not know if there was in fact any new pathogen glands there, as the infestors do not have anything at all. Not enough energy, not going to be able to even spawn infested Terran. And there's the GG, and TT1 looking beautiful and brilliant, making the Protoss versus Zerg matchup look so easy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 and this 2-game set between Fnatic MSI's TT1 and Meet Your Maker's XLord. Game 2 taking place on the MLG version of Metalopolis.